Well, so my guest this morning, Nii Adama is a member of parliament for the Ododo constituency. He's here. Good morning to you, Nii. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine.
Great, great. And I have Joseph Albert Kwam. He's a member of parliament for Manson Kwanta. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's always a delight to have you in the studio. But we start with some initial comments. Already, we're getting some insights on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, Nii Adama, and I have to get to you. It says that the National House of Chiefs has endorsed Adama Latse II as Gamanche. We know that as to who occupies to be the king of the Ghan state is always a controversy. It has been deeply steeped in controversy over the last couple of years. But the story on page 15 rightly puts it that, well, the National House of Chiefs has endorsed King Nii Adama Latse II as the paramount chief of the Ghan state, and is dated in a correspondence on April 9, 2018, and signed by the acting registrar. He's the right man?
Yeah.
He's the right man?
Yeah.
Okay. So explain to me, how is the choosing of a king for the Ghan state undertaken? In what order, according to the ways or the families, etc.?
Well, thank you very much, Roland. First, let me take the opportunity to say a very good morning to all our viewers, especially my constituents, Ododo, and to the Ghan state, and to say that we are happy this has been resolved, and from today, I hope there will be peace, and we can go about our normal business without fear or favor. The Ghans normally should not, or Ghan Dames should normally not have problem when it comes to chieftaincy. Because unlike, let me say, the Akans, when a Ghan mentions his name, immediately you know the clan from which you come from.
Okay.
We know the house from which you come from.
Okay.
So I sit here, and as soon as my name is mentioned, Nii Adama, everybody knows that as Nii Adama, I'm from Lantejawe.
Okay.
And Lantejawe is normally from Asene. But my Vanderpoel takes me to Otublong and English. So it is obvious, unlike Kwam, as soon as somebody mentions Kwam, you may be wondering whether he's a Fanti, he's from the Western region, and an Ashanti. Or let me say Walker. Walker could be a Ghan, could be a Fanti. But as soon as my name, Nii Adama, is mentioned, it's obvious. Any Ghan man would trace my lineage. So we should normally not have problems with chieftaincy because of our patrilineal inheritance, and because every house have the gates from which inheritance is adduced from. The issue of the Gamanche became a problem at the death of the late Nii Amugi. When Nii Amugi passed, it was obvious that there's a need for a new Gamanche to be chosen. So the three principal houses were looked at, and because Ghan is rotational, it came to the turn of the Takitawia way. And so I remember very well, we were all involved. And then King Adama Latse, then known in private life as George Taki, a former footballer, had come down from the UK, and so he was consulted as one of the many potential candidates. So upon a lot of consultations, he agreed and sought permission to go and wind up his duties in the United Kingdom. And then, but before he came back, the late Joe Blansing was installed. In fact, the ramifications came out for everyone to see. In fact, all the people who were involved in the installation of Joe Blansing passed under mysterious circumstances. So there was another, let me say, person who was also asking that he should be called Gamanche. He also passed. So Adama Latse, out of the three, was the only person remaining, and processes were put through to make him the Ghanman, to install him as the Gamanche. Well, since 2015, that was concluded. The gazetting was done, by the National House of Chiefs. But all of a sudden, there was a problem with the Regional House of Chiefs and the Grand Traditional Council. So procedures have gone through, there's been back and forth court cases, Supreme Court has given decisions and judgments on all these things. I thought the issue had been resolved until last year, when all of a sudden we saw another installation of another Gamanche. I, for example, was seriously disturbed because I've seen chieftaincy issues leading to so many problems and violence and attacks and things in my constituency. We never had peace for years until the resolution of the basic chieftaincy problem with the installation of Nii Adama Latse II and also installation of Latse Adama as the Gamanche. We had peace. We've been celebrating Omowo for the past years in peace until last year. So I had prayed that this issue will be resolved.
But you do understand that even though you had peace, there was still steeped in disputes who occupies the position.
There was no dispute over it until this installation of Kevin Taki as another Gamanche. In fact, and I've always complained. In fact, I've even filed a question in Parliament.
And Kevin Taki is coming from which of the?
They come from the same house. Incidentally, see, Kevin was one of the people who were consulted initially, and he objected. He was then a lecturer at KNUST. He objected to the position, and Adama Latse accepted, wind up his job in the UK, came down, he has gone through the process, everything has been done. It's been installed. When he was installed for years, for close to 4 years, nobody protested. He had a legal issue, some people went to court, those who belonged to Joe Blanson's faction went to court, and they were defeated. So I thought...
And since the Joe Blanks has passed on, hasn't it?
Yes. All the claimants to the two have passed. All the 3 people who were fighting with Adama Latse have passed.
Well, we know all the comments that came in because of what they said.
Yes, so I thought that we had resolved the issue. So those who installed Kevin are those who have really brought a problem to us.
So now you have 2 chiefs
legitimately
installed.
We have only 1.
Okay, you have 2 chiefs installed. One is legitimate, one is illegitimate.
Yes.
So what happens to the illegitimate one?
Well, by this judgment, by this ruling of the National House of Chiefs and the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, in fact, the acting Gamanche, the acting president of the Grand Traditional Council, Nii Adama Latse II, has been asked to cease parading himself as the acting president so that the Grand Traditional Council will do the appropriate thing by inducting Adama Latse into the Grand Traditional Council as the president of the Traditional Council. And I think that will end everything. I hope that people will understand that chieftaincy is not something you can buy from the market. You can't force yourself onto people. Adama Latse has been accepted by the Ghana people. They've seen him as their king. He has been with them for years now. He's been accepted. Anything contrary to that will take us back. And I hope the people who are not happy with this resolution will wait and bid their time. And when it gets to their time, they will then also have the opportunity. I'm happy that the other houses that Taki come away and have all accepted this. And I hope that the Kevin Taki's faction will also understand and let us have peace in Accra. We need peace. For example, I'm happy with the resolution now because just next week we are going to start our processes towards Omowo with the planting of the corn, the ban on noise making, and then the lifting of the ban.
Well, it's good that it's coming prior to the Omowo.
Yes,
so
yes, because then the police, everybody who is supposed to maintain peace in Accra will understand who is the rightful occupant of the stool and know what to do. Well, and I hope this one, the politicians will not get themselves involved.
Well, chieftaincy and the problems that it comes up with. Just last week, we know the Tunfo had been raising certain concerns about some threats to the Asante stool, etc. Well, it's good that we have Honorable Joseph Albert Kwam. He's a member of Parliament for Manso Nkwanta. What's the difference between Manso Nkwanta and Manso Adobia? Your twin communities?
Yes. First and foremost, let me use this opportunity to I'm talking about my listeners.
Okay.
Let me just to greet them.
Okay.
Especially Manson Kwanta and that of Manson Dubia. Manson Kwanta and Manson Dubia. Manson Kwanta and Manson Dubia used to be the same district, Amansia West District.
Okay.
But currently, it has been divided into two.
So we don't have Amansia.
No, we have Amansia West as the mother district.
Okay.
And Manson Dubia, which is now
a constituent.
No, Amansia South.
Okay.
In fact, it was supposed to be Amansia South and that of Amansia North, but you can't change that of the mother district. Of course, you have to maintain that.
Yeah.
That which is Amansia West. We know we have Amansia West Rural Bank. We have so many.
Yeah. Is the heart of Galamsey?
Where?
Amansia, the Amansia area.
Let me put it that way. I would say yes, but to some extent.
You mean? I mean the better Galamsey initially.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really, because if we have some small scale mining companies, they might be few. If you go there, you see the area being characterized by lots of Chinese. But right now, I can confidently see that with the fight against Galamsey by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, you won't see much of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, but what do you say to the issue of chieftaincy? Because, for example, we're just talking about the Gan State having some difficulty. Just last week, the Asante Hene also had been raising concerns about some transfers of government personnel and officials. Specifically, was talking about the secretary to the president. That's Nana Asante Bediato, and then also Gabi Ochidakun, and we're told that some of your officials who had visited the Minsha Palace had to kneel down, etc. It means that chieftaincy needs to be respected in many ways.
Oh yes, I'm from a royal family.
You're a royal?
So, oh yes, my mom is a queen mother.
It smells around you.
My mom is a queen mother of in Siena, so I respect chieftaincy a lot. Yes, it is true. I heard the news, but of course, because of politics. Let me put it this way. For my knowledge, the Achims were part of the Adanse Kingdom in the Ashanti region. Yeah. But due to one or two reasons, they found themselves at the present-day Achim land, right? They are cousins, and let me put it this way, brothers. Utumfo and Ochehini are brothers. But because of politics, some school of thought, some people from political device believe that because Ashanti region is the stronghold of MPP, it's the only area that you can, which is, let me put it this way, homogeneous. I'm talking about the people. You can get about 80 to 90% of the people. So, being Ashantis. So sometimes to break through the other political divide, find it difficult. So when they bring in this tribal...
Make your comments.
Exactly.
It's the Asante Hene who made the comment. It's not any political divide that made the comment. I find your comment quite perplexing.
No, the point is...
Parsley, let me use... Look, perplexing was used in one of the messages on social media.
No, what I'm saying here is that at normal circumstances, Utufo summon these people to come and justify the issue, and which is normal. Of course, Ochehini and Utufo are brothers, so he can call them at any time. Are you with me? Utufo can summon me. He can call you for a discussion, a peaceful discussion. But after the information which were going around the media made people believe that there is a tug of war between the Achims and the Ashantis.
The Ashanti Youth Association, they held a press conference, and it was addressed no less than somebody who has a PhD, maybe like Dr. yourself as well, or getting to that level yourself. So it's not as if this is actually a homogeneous activity. It's not fronted by any other, or perhaps has any truncation.
Dr. Ajeni Boate is an MPP person.
So it's I don't
Are
know.
you talking about the UP?
Dr. Ajeni Boate.
No. It was addressed by an indigenous son of the
Yes,
land.
Dr.
Okay.
Ajeni Boate.
Not a politician per se. So
No.
we have to put it together. What the Otumfuo said and the concerns he raised. It looks like if you take a critical mass look at the commentary, it's as if, well, he didn't say it right. Perhaps some heads of some political divide were pushing him to say what he said. But I think what he said was that his stool, or the stool on which he sits on, which he will also leave one day, is not being respected.
Yeah.
The stool is being pitched.
And he mentioned names.
It's okay. Don't.
No, but because he said it, politicians. That's what I'm
It's
trying
been
to correct.
pitched against the Ochihene, and he feels it's not right. Don't you think we have to put it into better perspective?
Yeah, going forward, I think all this noise, all this biting should stop. Because if some people are behind it, saying certain things which will reduce the powers, or let me put it, which will degrade Otumfuo, all these things must come to an end.
Have you followed social media comments since the incident?
Yes.
Do you think some of the comments have been palatable, have been very respectful of the Asante?
Especially that of Gabi.
Oh, please.
Why don't you want her to say it?
No,
I
we'll say it.
respect,
You mentioned-
respect Asante too very well.
the point is, if you look at the statement which came into social media from Gabi, if you read it, you could see that he respects Otumfuo so much.
By whose interpretation? Based on that same response, we had the Asante Youth Association put together a press conference, and that was the thrust of their. They are saying that even him responding on social media was disrespectful to the king.
Yeah, that is why I'm saying that he should have found himself at Otumfuo's palace to explain certain.
So you're saying he was wrong?
For coming into the.
So you're saying he was wrong?
For coming to the social media, because I think that going to social media will not solve the problem. Sometimes certain issues are being solved behind us and not in the social media. And if you are dealing with chiefs, they are the custodians of our lands, and we are the politicians. And politicians, we came to meet the chiefs. So no matter how the situation is, if we want to solve our problems, it has to be behind us and not public. That is why if we continue to debate.
So you don't want us to talk about it in the media?
No, not at all.
Well, we just happen to have had a colleague.
Because you get somebody.
A colleague who had accompanied his uncle to the Misha Palace. That's how come. He was the only journalist around. It would have been a normal proceeding. I think it's because it's come to the media. That's why it's becoming an issue.
Yes.
But you don't think it's of public interest?
Yeah, because
is it of public interest or not?
Which one?
I mean, the whole concern is being raised by the Otumfuo, and it's coming to the public for discussion. Is it not of public interest?
Oh yes, it is. It is, because it will serve as a deterrent to others. So that at the end of the day, we will be careful about the comments that we make.
Okay. Amansia, is it an Asante area?
Yeah, yes.
So you're an Asante?
Roland,
yes. My dad is a Western animal.
But you pay allegiance to the Otumfuo?
Yes.
I want to take from where my brother, my colleague ended.
You said the political divide. That should be you. You are the biggest opposition.
I just want to.
NDC,
I'm very, very respectful of tradition and culture. I want to take from where here that whatever is happening will serve as a deterrent and also knowledge to all of us, young men, politicians alike. I'm saying this, but first let me make a correction. There's no historical evidence to prove that Achims are Adanses. Achims were part of the Equiapim of Oripane stew. So the little history I have done pertaining to Ghanaian culture and tradition tells me that Achims were part of Equiapim stew. So there's no evidence to prove otherwise. I've not seen it in the historical document to say that the Achims are Adanses. What I know about that is that the Achims, as a sort of division among the Kapims, for Penny and for Kuma, led to the Achims. 2, let me say this. I agree totally with what my brother said. Roland, when issues about this happen, in every palace, there is a Jointrahene. So when for 2-4 feel offended by actions of certain individuals, what traditionally they should do was to consult the Jointrahene. Then they will plead through that Jointrahene to the 2-4.
You know this for a fact, or you went to read about it?
No, I know culture. I know tradition. Well, ask him what I'm saying, whether it's not true. Yeah. He's a royal. They have to plead through him to the 2-4.
So you're saying
there's absolutely no need for any one of them to make any comment. And I want to commend the Nasa and be there too, that so far he has not made any comment at all about this
because
issue.
He's a chief, right?
Yes. And he's a royal. And Gabi too is a royal. So there was no need for Gabi to laugh. As soon as you do that, it's marks of arrogance. And I'm also saying that I'm happy that the president in his own wisdom has accepted that his younger brothers have offended us too. And this morning, according to the news, he is at Menchia to plead on their behalf. That is what solves the problem. Once he does that, all these hulabaloo will come to a halt. It should serve a lesson to all of us. The way I manage this country, we are denigrating the institution of chieftaincy. Is what is giving rise to the indiscipline.
Who is denigrating who?
Is the indiscipline in our society.
Nobody is denigrating.
I'm telling you. Look, I say that to some extent I fault our judiciary. The very first day we gave that judgment, the Supreme Court judgment, that chiefs do not have authority to summon anybody before their courts. That was the day that we killed the institution of chieftaincy in this country.
We have a constitution. We cannot have a parallel state in which.
But the constitution, look at the constitution. The constitution
regulations that seem to be enforcing people. And
I'm telling you, the constitution gives regard and prominence to the role of chiefs in our history.
We do understand.
Look,
in our dispensation,
for example, all the battle we are having against Galamsey, environmental degradation, sanitation. If the chiefs were empowered, if the chiefs have that authority, these things will have been stopped.
Mr. Kwam, is that true? Because Galamsey,
it's of 2 ways.
Yeah, because the chiefs have no knowledge of how the Chinese come into our country.
My brother, there is no way. When I was growing up, there was no way you can farm on a land in a community without the knowledge of the chief. Let alone the Galamsey.
Okay, that's okay. Mr. Kwam, have we been disrespecting chieftaincy? Because I deduced from the Otumfuo's comments that he was not talking about his person, even though, so you get to find that the attack on social media was more of his person. But in all truism, you tend to find that it was more of, he was talking of the stool. So if we have skins and stools, right, in our country. So you're talking more of the institution.
Exactly.
You have to respect the institution.
Yes.
Have we been disrespecting institutions? Have we become too big because maybe we're politicians, we're big men, we're rich, and the chiefs really have no money in some respect. If you go to some parts of the country, some of them have nothing really.
Let me put it sometimes.
It happens.
Yes, some of our policies seriously affect the chiefs. You were talking about this Galamsey, right? They are the custodians of the land. But here is the case. Someone may go for a permit from, let's say, Minerals Commission or the appropriate quarters.
And the chiefs is not aware?
The chiefs may not be aware.
The chief is not aware?
Oh, yes. If you look at the process, they are supposed to do what is called public hearing, where the chiefs must be notified. But at some point,
it doesn't happen.
They were not respecting the chiefs.
No.
They come with force as if the government has issued a permit. And for that, the whole of the community belongs to them.
Have to kowtow to them.
Exactly. And when it happens this way, because they don't understand even the permit that has been issued. For instance, if you look at the permits, mining permits, we have reconnaissance licenses, which is the survey. We have prospecting licenses. And these licenses cannot be used.
Do you have an investment in mining?
No, not at all.
Are you sure?
Not at all.
All right.
Well, are you saying he's a
no, the way he has I know he's a learned.
No, he has done a lot of work in that area,
Right.
and I respect him for that.
Can we move on?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can imagine that because they don't understand even the permit itself, and because of lackadaisical attitude of some of our politicians, as well as even the district assemblies.
You are not afraid. You'll be.
My brother, afraid of what? The truth is
you'll be an MP though.
No. I have to tell people the truth.
Okay.
I have
So
sworn
you should,
an
you should
oath
keep quiet.
No, I'm not saying that.
to tell people the truth, and that's exactly what I'm doing.
All right.
Right. So
My brother, I support
because
you. I support you.
Yeah, because these permits are not the right ones to be used to mine. They go there and do proper mining, which the chiefs cannot object to because of the political backing that particular person
Maybe have it.
exactly. And if you look at this, let me tell you something. Have we been honest to our chiefs?
No.
Not at all.
So. Well, thank you very much. There was an
Well, I
incident.
don't know why you want us to stop this.
No.
I'm saying that
No.
if we respect,
We've been on this thing for
if
too
we
long.
respect our chieftaincy
We respect
tradition,
our chiefs.
we don't. If we do, all our problems in this country
Would have been solved.
would have been solved.
Because the taboos and those things, and
Look,
those things were enforced.
everything. Look, there is so
right.
much power under chieftains. Look,
All right.
let me tell you something.
Yeah.
When we're doing
I
a
want to
national
move on.
sanitation, I just want to tell you something. When we do national sanitation, if I, a politician, goes to Amansie,
Nobody will respect you.
nobody will respect me.
But the chief-
As soon as I get there, oh, NDC Ninaba. You understand? But as soon as it becomes the distance of the chief,
So
and
you're
the
saying
chief
rather
brings
many of the
gong
things
gong,
we should have been using the
the
chiefs.
chiefs. Once we use the chiefs,
So rather
a lot
we're
of-
dissipating their powers,
Look,
usurping their powers.
Even the white people, when they came here, knew the effect of chieftaincy institution and did what we call effective governance decentralization through the chiefs.
But we are black people. You know, black
Indirect
people,
rule.
black mentality.
Indirect rule through the
So
chiefs.
okay, so let's move on. Now Hajia, you know Hajia Fati is at the
Yes.
MPP headquarters.
Yes.
But I think where does she work now? You know where she works?
The party.
The party.
Yes.
Okay. There was our reporter.
You want him to make a comment about Jafati? He will beat him up.
Hell.
Please
why?
let me lay the foundation for my please.
She will beat Kobra
Wait,
Japan, Kobra Japan.
there was
and you think Kwam will not
there
be
was
beaten?
there was our reporter who
Yes.
was at the party head office to cover prospective candidates or interested persons who were taking up positions by coming to
Pick nomination
buy
forms.
or pick nomination forms from the party. So I think they had been covering, and the lady from Adom FM had wanted to cover something on Sami Krab. Hajia Fati, after Sami Krab had initially left, came in and said Sami Krab was not going to pick his nomination form.
Why are you narrating? You think he doesn't know the story?
Oh, you know the story. Okay. What's your own view about the incident that happened?
First and foremost, let me say, Hajia Fati is not part of the national officers on elections.
He's not an executive of the
No,
party.
she's not. She's not.
Okay. So she acted on her own accord.
That is what I would say. And based on this, I feel that
But this
if-
incident happened at the party headquarters. You think anybody
No.
can just walk into your house and do anything they want?
Look, let me tell you something. Here we are talking about elections. Aren't we? We have people who have been mandated to take care of that. So if somebody is obstructing you, the best thing you have to do is to let the law take its course. I believe in rule of law. And this issue, for me, must be investigated.
Yeah, let me say this. Roland, I wouldn't have taken this thing to this thing, but as a journalist myself, and let me say the person involved, this woman has developed the impunity, the brazen.
I think we have Hajia Fatis in every party, right?
Well, I've not seen Hajia Fati in NDC yet. Get me one.
No, that characterization. We've had Hajia Fatis in all the parties.
Which one? NDC, tell me one.
You want me to
Your-
mention?
Yes, mention your name.
One
It's not
organizer.
fair.
Which one?
It's not fair.
Anita, how can you compare Ajia Fati?
Anita is even not well. Please, but we have Ajia Fati.
Tell me one.
Please go ahead.
Who will have the authority, the mandate, the power, the impunity to beat up a journalist? You see, Ajia Fati beat up Kobra Japan. Nobody talked. This is the second time he's attacking Sami Crab. Nobody talked. So now, Adom reporter. And you see, what offends me is the inability of the party to condemn what she has done and take appropriate steps. Up to today, it's over 72 hours. Nothing. We have not seen any condemnation. But I don't blame anybody. I blame the minister for gender. When this Moesha thing came up, within 24 hours, she issued a statement condemning Moesha. But she will not have the courage to condemn Ajia Fati for what she has done, attacking another female, another lady.
No.
She attacked a lady who was doing her legitimate duty. Look, even if the woman, essentially she took her to be an onion seller.
Okay, in a bit to say, before you continue, let's listen to Ajia Fati. She seems to have some justification as to...
Justification?
Well, I'm saying she seems to. As to what transpired. So please listen to her or watch this, and then we'll be back with Nii Adama Latse II.
I was sitting at the receptionist when I saw a flash on my face, 1, 2, the third one. I said, why? Then I slapped the phone and everything off. That's all. That's what I do. I didn't know she was, and she is your colleague. I don't know. Nobody approached me. I don't know where she's taking my picture to. I thought it's Sami Crab's women who are snapping me. That's why. And that woman there, she doesn't resemble a journalist. She resembles a woman like me selling onions in the market. I don't know her as... she doesn't resemble a journalist, and she didn't do the work of journalist because she didn't approach me. She didn't say anything to me. So don't say I've beat your colleague.
But is she justified?
Justified in what way?
I'm asking, is she?
She's not. She's not justified in any way. Even if it's an ordinary person walking on the street, you have no right under the laws of this country to just attack that person. Even if taken for granted. Even if the person had even provoked her or insulted her, she has no right. The police is there. So I'm saying that such attitude, you see, and it's becoming too many. As we are talking today, there's a journalist who has been incapacitated as a result of brutality from police. You understand? We need, as a journalist, when he went to cover the Kokwanyidowa arrest.
Has he been investigated?
The police beat him up.
Oh, the journalist works here, Latif Idris.
He works.
He even has some problem with some concussion.
Yeah,
you're not here to justify the action of the police.
No, I'm saying that
so that we don't make any comments.
Too many attacks on journalists is becoming too many in this country, and as a journalist, I'm concerned. My colleagues are being beaten up and attacked in the legitimate line of their duty, and I don't think it is right. And because when it happens, we allow it to go. We just look.
I personally will condemn the attack on journalists.
You wait. You have your time.
So what I'm saying is that this issue must not be allowed to go. If Ajia Fati will beat up Commander Japan, Sami Crab, and the rest and go away with it, the MPP people, she can continue to beat.
And you think the MPP as a party needs to come and?
Well, if the MPP will not,
because they're saying that she took the action as an individual member of the party
at the MPP headquarters.
Well, they are members of the party who
fine.
Work to the headquarters all the time.
So the police should arrest her and deal with her as an individual.
That is if there's a complainant. I think.
There's no complainant. Why would the GJA make a statement out of it?
I'm making a caveat.
I'm saying that people must be dealt with, and then this thing will stop. And if people know that I touch a journalist, I will go to court, and possibly I could be jailed, people will not do it.
Dr. Kwam, sir, what do you say?
Oh, yes, for me, we have rule of law.
So if anybody is offended,
if anybody is offended, I think the right thing must be done.
Mr. Kwam, is that not a very brutish one, a very arrogant way of telling people off, especially journalists who have been attacked, and it become very consistent over time, that if you have a problem, go to court. Once we know what the issues are.
That is why I said I personally do not support that. that act on journalists, because if you look at the setup of government, we have the executive, we have the parliament, we have that of the judiciary. The fourth arm, if so to speak, is you, the media. Of course, so we need to respect you as much. But the situation is that in this country, we are not in military rule. We are in democracy, democratic world. And anything that comes up, in order for us to justify, we need to go through the process. We need to investigate it and bring perpetrators to book. That's exactly what I'm saying.
For an incident that happened at the MPP party headquarters, don't you think the MPP as a party needs to come formally and apologize?
For this issue, I will say the party in its totality do not associate themselves with it.
Is that what you've been told on your communication
No,
platform?
no,
that should be the communication.
Not at all. But I'm telling you.
This is your own personal conviction?
I'm telling you.
Is this your own personal conviction?
Look, I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this, that even if someone comes to my house and an issue of an assault happens, the best thing to do is the person should report to appropriate quarters, maybe police, for investigation to start. And if we begin to do that, certainly by all means, people will stop that act.
So you're saying that the party should not, we shouldn't hang this on the neck of the party?
Oh no.
It's an individual,
yeah,
maybe a member of the party, but he took the action or she took the action as an individual.
Yes, because
so everybody bear their own cross.
No, she does not speak for the party. She's not a member of the national executive
I'm surprised you are disowning Ajafati today.
National no, I'm not. I'm not.
This is your own personal conviction. This is your principle.
No, I'm not. But I feel that anything that we feel it is not good, we have to condemn it and make sure that appropriate authorities must take it up. If the person feels offended, the person can report to police for the necessary action to be taken. In fact, investigation must be conducted about probably the so to speak her behavior, if it is true.
So to speak. Okay.
Look,
now the GJ says that they will take a legal action on this matter.
Yeah,
it looks like the GJ is well bent, and also the individual and the entity that
I think the
GJ.
I would say that I will commend the GJ for the swiftness in which they came to condemn this and also tell the whole world. But I'm saying that the individual involved must also take a civil action against Ajafati. Whilst the GJ pursued the criminal aspect of it through the police service, the individual must also take a civil action against her. And that is what will stop perpetrators of this outmoded, uncivilized culture from continuing this. The Ghana's democracy and Ghana's civilization has gone beyond the ages of where people get up and just attack journalists for what they do. I think it's outmoded, it's archaic, and it's undemocratic. It's one of the things that we need to do to sanitize our democratic culture. What she did is condemnable, and what is even offensive is the fact that she didn't think the woman looked like a journalist. Why? Do we have a code of dressing for journalists in this country? Do we have a way we have to behave? Journalists must always dress in a particular manner for them to be identified as journalists before they are beaten up. 2, even if the person is not dressed up like a journalist, do you need to attack anybody on the this thing for God the person has taken it? If you're not happy with what the person has done, you have legitimate means of resolving the issue. You don't just get up and attack the person and say, I took her to be like an onion seller. What sort of it's excuse my language this morning, that is stupid. For her to make that this thing is totally uncalled for. And a woman her age should not be saying what she said. In fact, because over the past she's been allowed to go away with some of these things, she thinks that she can always do whatever she likes, and then the party will cover her. I'm happy my brother is saying that the party should distance itself from this. And I will commend them if they do that. If they are unable to do that within the next 2 hours, then they are not the party worth following. They are not the party that believes in rule of law. They are not the party who believes in democracy. And I will commend that the GJA take the next action. If the party doesn't take an action against Ajia Fati on this, if the police doesn't take an action against them, the GJA to go total blackout on MPP and the government. I'm a member of the GJA, and I will go to recommend to our president that if they don't take this action, we'll go total blackout on the MPP and the government. Because we cannot suffer. Journalists cannot continue to suffer this humiliation. Yes, they should.
But the commentary is that she acted alone. She was not compelled by any executive of the party to come and attack anybody.
If she acted alone, because the action happened under the premises of the MPP, they must come out to condemn it.
Oh, come on.
I'm telling you. Look.
So
Chino Achebe says
so
that
are you
if somebody
saying
comes to your house, Chino Achebe says that comes to your house to defecate on the floor, you don't clap for the person. You take a stick and hit the person's head. You understand? So if somebody comes to your house, they can't say that open your train fee, my nisikachana ekunankano yebonankari for okamobi. So if the NPP chairman and the administration at the party headquarters sat there and look at Ajia Fati to beat up somebody, they are condoning. If they don't condemn it, it means that they are condoning. Am I lying?
No, they are not.
They are not.
They are not.
All right.
This is an individual
if they are not, just as you have condemned it here, I want the party to condemn
Please, there's an issue at the port. I want us to deal with it before we go.
It is an
quickly, I think our time is up.
No, but you have condemned it.
The Business and Financial Times, since the last week, has been reporting about the paperless port under threat. We'll be calling a gentleman who is in charge of freight forwarders at the ports. He's called Mr. Ringobit, and he'll be talking to us very soon. Mr. Ringobit will be talking to us very soon. But according to the Business and Financial Times, Baumia's paperless ports under threat as Unipass plans takeover of Customs World and GCNet. And it says that recently awarded 10-year third single window contract to Ghana Link Network Services Limited is breeding confusion at the country's ports, as operators say there was no stakeholder consultation in the selection of a third company to provide paperless services at the ports. Now, the paperless ports, and we're told what it will do, reduce transactional time, is already being operated by one, West Blue Consulting, which is now Customs World Dubai, and the Ghana Community Network Services Limited, which all of us know as the GCNet. We're told their turnovers have been very good. Now, the desire of Ghana Link Network Services to take over the single window operations from Customs World Dubai and GCNet seems to be breeding hostility at the port and does not serve the interests of clients. Now, they continue by saying the situation threatens the paperless port agenda, which seeks to integrate all systems at the ports. We're told that the operators at the port say there was not a stakeholder engagement prior to awarding the sole sought third single window contract to Ghana Link. The contract was signed on March 29, just recently, 2018, and is to provide the trade facilitation, etc. We'll be speaking to Mr. Awingobet very soon on the line, but let me just get your initial reaction to the story.
Let me say, Roland,
you're a Minister of Trade, right?
I was Deputy Minister for Trade.
Deputy Minister.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me say that time, I remember Aruna Edisu.
It was in your time that they signed West Blue.
Yeah.
There were some concerns there too. Right?
Yeah. You know, the whole idea was to make it what we call single window facilitation, where customs and all these other stakeholders at the port will just be at one place so that it will facilitate trade and businesses at the port. So a clearance of goods at the port will not delay. The whole idea is to make sure that within hours, people are able to clear their goods from the ports, and then unnecessary demurrage and the rest are not paid, which will affect businesses. So the idea was to, but I think that in the course of that, you see, consultations were being done here and there as to how people will not lose jobs, as to how these will not affect businesses and all that. So over the period, the customs and all these individuals, GCNet and West Blue Consult, have been going through, and then this introduction of paperless by the MPP government to some extent, I would say it's commendable, because at least that will also help with the foundation that the NDC government has laid by reducing the time that people use in clearing their goods at the port. But you see, in all this, when you are doing, transparency is key. And two, once you take a decision that this is what we want to do, you must be able to make sure you respect your own decisions and policies. All of a sudden, from last week, because of my constituency, I've been interacting with a lot of these importers and all this, and they've raised serious concerns that what is rather supposed to facilitate business at the port is rather unduly delaying businesses. Two, it's making business at the port more expensive. So clearing of goods and services now have become more expensive than it used to be. Other way around. Three, what has even become this thing is that the transparency that is supposed to come is not coming now. And they are scared that these new introductions were further going to make things at the port much more expensive.
Well, talking about that, we have the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Mr. Samson Asaki Awingobit. Good morning to you, Mr. Awingobit.
Good morning to you, Mr. Roland Walker, and good morning to your cherished viewers.
What difficulties do you have with now the new entity coming in to either add up or to also be part of the whole paperless port activity at the port?
Well, thank you very much. I must say that to the best of my knowledge, officially, no one has written to my institution as the Ambassador of Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana concerning any new contract that has been signed or that has been reported to be signed out there by our trade minister. Neither whether from the Minister of Trade itself or from the provider, the company that have signed the contract to run for 10 years. GPH, California Authority, so gotten any official document. But on the airwaves, just like your reporter, is it your reporter or a panel who is discussing with you this morning? I was just listening to you on the over the because I'm trying where I am. I'm trying to get to monitor your network, but I'm still not getting it. But I listened a few seconds before you came to me online. I tried to say sentiment, the idea that the Ghanaian importer or the Ghanaian exporter wouldn't want to be overburdened at this point in time. What we are looking forward in the port is the speed of work in clearing of cargo, and not rather to be adding additional what do I call it? We are talking about single window, and I'm sure you've been monitoring maritime news not today. We've been talking about single window. Single window means one-stop shop, not about using 2 or 3
Mr.
or 4.
Mr. Wingobit, if
Yes.
we have another entity also adding up to the customs management system, is that going to facilitate trade? And if you take a look at the current trade facilitation being undertaken by GCNet and West Blue Consulting, is that also going to enhance perhaps the trade? You never know.
You see, you know how I do my work as a professional advocate. I don't always look at whether someone is coming to deliver good services or not. What we are looking at is that the importer also has the right, because he or she is doing business. And look at the cost of doing business in our port today. Everybody, including agents who are even clearing for their customers, are all complaining. At the current dispensation, we know that we are doing single window in the port. However, we are West Blue that is doing the CCVR aspect, that will come out with classification and evaluation report, and then the GTNet is doing the distribution, and then also delivering single window, same single window and trade facilitation in our port. As we speak, I'm sure the last Parliament rectified what we call trade facilitation agreement, which was an international, it was a WTO document, and Ghana was a signatory to that charter. So when it came to the country, we ought to have rectified, and the last Parliament rectified this trade facilitation. As we speak, there was a national trade facilitation committee that put up in place to work on it and to see things that Ghana can implement without using money, and to also look at the area that Ghana needs money to be owed before they can implement it. And as we speak, we are at that TFA that was rectified by Ghana Parliament. We have to do away with fees and charges. So if at this point in time that the country is talking about doing away with fees and charges in the next 5 years, why did you go and sign a document that gives a company to run for 10 years? It's not about, let me say without fear or favor, the point here is that we have asked that why did the Minister of Trade sign such a document for another contract? The ministry, I don't know if your reporters are able to reach out to the Minister of Trade, or especially to the minister, not any other. They should not go and speak to other spokesperson or directors or not. I think we should rather ask our Minister of Trade. Indeed, before he became a Minister of Trade, he was one time a WTO boss. I'm sure you know about that, World Trade Organization boss before. And he understands the trade facilitation agreement that was initiated, and I'm sure it was during his time that the World Trade initiated programs to make sure that cost prescriptions should not be very expensive for port users. And we know very well that the last parliament even was rectified our TFA, and then these are some of the things that we are trying to cut down the cost of doing business and the ease of doing business in the country. And so I remember vividly that it was a Minister of Trade that brought in GCNet in the year or in the era of the former President, Excellency President Kufuor regime. He brought GCNet, and the reason was that there was a recent mobilization for countries. Indeed, I'm sure they've been delivering their mandate. Yes, I cannot say that since the inception of West Blue, there have not been any technical hiccups. That is not what we rather want. What we needed is to streamline our trade operational system in the port, our operational system in the port, so that if you start from one system, you should end it.
Well, Samson Asake, I will go back. We have to thank you for your intervention. I think we've got some clarification on what we wanted. And that also speaks, I guess, to, it's all about facilitating trade at the ports.
Yes.
And so adding more is value.
Exactly.
I mean, for your experience?
Exactly.
Okay.
Apart from that, if you have, let's say, 3 companies, there's not going to be any monopoly. And monopoly, of course, breeds corruption. So if you have 3 companies working to achieve the same goal, I don't see anything wrong with it. Even if one company is working, the possibility of doing certain things that will delay the process, which will breed corruption, will be very high. So as for this, I think it's not a big deal.
It's not an issue, crowd.
I don't see it. Not at all.
It's been killed. Anyway, the speculation is that they've already signed the contract. I'm sure West Blue is also fighting somewhere.
Sign the contract. Single source. Sole source.
Why is it not accepted?
Sole source.
I haven't seen the contract.
Yeah,
so
we all have. Yeah, we're not saying you should speak.
Exactly.
Sole source. Because this contract will have to come to us for us to look at it.
Why, if it's so, what's wrong with it?
He's a member of parliament. I'm a member of parliament.
Why?
We are not aware of it.
But why? Haven't we seen sole source contracts around?
But I thought this government condemned sole sourcing.
Is that what they did?
Yeah, they did.
He's not a member of government.
Please, they did.
They said the consistent manner. Which were
it's more fragrant and more frequent under this government than it had been under any other government.
Really?
I'm telling you, even the parliament where we are sitting, parliament, they are doing construction and sole sourcing. Even parliament. This sole sourcing under this government, plenty keke.
All right. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed the conversation with the two of you. Mr.
Unfortunately, he's my good friend, so that's why I've not been too political.
Member of Parliament for Mansum.
This morning, I've not been too political because he's my very good friend.
You're a friendly guy.
Sometimes bring somebody that me and him can. Bring Kennedy Japan.
We have Nii Adama Latse II, member of Parliament for the Dio constituency. Thank you, the two of you.